Good morning, everybody. Let's see. Good morning to Jax, Matthew, Marjorie, even though she's too young to really realize it, and little Emily, and let's see, and everybody else who might be watching and listening. I'm going to read chapter 15 of Bowser the Hound by Thornton W. Burgess. Okay, let's see. Chapter 15 is entitled Reddy's Forlorn Chance. This saying is both true and terse. There's nothing bad, but might be worse. Good thing to remember. That's from Bowser the Hound. If anyone had said this to Reddy Fox during the first half hour after he discovered that he was a prisoner in Farmer Brown's hen yard, he wouldn't have believed it. He wouldn't have believed a word of it. He would have said that he couldn't possibly have been worse off than he was. He was a prisoner. He couldn't possibly get out. He knew that in the morning, turn the page, Farmer Brown's boy would certainly discover him. It couldn't be otherwise. That is, it couldn't be otherwise as long as he remained in that hen yard. There wasn't a thing, not one solitary thing under or behind which he could hide. So to Reddy's way of thinking, things couldn't possibly have been worse. But after a while, having nothing else to do, Reddy began to think. Now it is surprising how thinking will change matters. One of the first thoughts that came to Reddy was that he might have been caught in a trap, one of those cruel traps that close like a pair of jaws, sometimes break the bones of the foot or leg, and from which there was no escape. Right away, Reddy realized that to have been so caught would have been much worse than being a prisoner in Farmer Brown's hen yard. This made him feel just a wee bit better, and he began to do some more thinking. For a long time, his thinking didn't help him in the least. At last, however, he had felt so sure he was going to enjoy. Whoops, I missed a line there, folks. At last, however, he remembered the chicken dinner he had felt so sure he was going to enjoy. The thought of the chicken dinner reminded him that inside the henhouse it was dark. He had been inside that henhouse before. He knew that there were boxes in there. If he were inside the hen house, it just might be, that he could hide when Farmer Brown's boy came in the morning. So once more, Reddy went to work at that little sliding door where the hens ran in and out during the day. He already had found out that it wasn't fastened, and he felt sure that with patience he could open it. So he worked away and worked away until at last there was a little crack. He got his claws in the little crack and pulled and pulled. The little crack became a little wider. By and by, it was wide enough for him to get his whole paw in. Then it became wide enough for him to get his head half in. After this, all he had to do was to force himself through, for as he pushed and shoved, the little door opened. He was inside at last. There was a chance, just a forlorn chance, that he might be able to escape the notice of Farmer Brown's boy in the morning. That's the end of that chapter. Roxy, I think I'll read one more. Now we're going to keep going and read one more chapter because I missed a couple days. Okay, everyone. Chapter 16. Why Reddy Went Without a Chicken Dinner. A dinner is far better lost than eaten at too great a cost. And that's from Bowser the Hound. Can you imagine Reddy Fox with a chicken dinner right before him and not touching it? Well, that is just what happened in Farmer Brown's hen house. It wasn't because Reddy had no appetite. He was hungry, very hungry. He always is in winter. Then it doesn't often happen that he gets enough to eat at one meal to really fill his stomach. Yet here he was with a chicken dinner right before him, and he didn't touch it. You see, it was this way. Reddy's wits were working very fast there in Farmer Brown's hen house. He knew that he had only a forlorn chance of escaping when Farmer Brown's boy should come to open the hen house in the morning. He knew that he must make the most of that forlorn chance. He knew that freedom is 1,000 times better than a full stomach. On one of the lower roosts sat a fat hen. She was within easy jumping distance. Reddy knew that with one quick spring, she would be his. In the hen yard, Gotta turn the page. In the hen yard, whoops. If the hen yard gate had been open, he'd have wasted no time in making that one quick spring. But the hen yard gate, as you know, was closed fast. I'm awfully hungry, muttered Reddy to himself, but if I should catch and eat that fat hen, Farmer Brown's boy would be sure to notice the feathers on the floor the very minute he opened the door. It won't do, Reddy. It won't do. You can't afford to have the least little thing seem wrong in this hen house. What you've got to do is swallow your appetite and keep quiet in the darkest corner you can find. So Reddy Fox spent the rest of the night curled up in the darkest corner, partly behind a box. All the time, his nose was filled with the smell of fat hens. Every little while a hen was being crowded too much on the roost, would stir uneasily and protest in a sleepy voice. Just think of what Reddy suffered. Just think how you'd feel to be very, very hungry and have right within reach the one thing you like best in all the world to eat and then not dare touch it. Some foolish folks in Reddy's place would have eaten that dinner and trusted to luck to get out of trouble later. Reddy was far too wise to do anything of that kind. Doing as Reddy did that night is called exercising self-restraint. Everybody should be able to do it, but it sometimes seems as if very many people cannot do it. Anyway, they don't do it, and because they don't do it, they are forever getting into trouble. Reddy knew when morning came, although the hen house was still dark. Somehow or other, hens always know just when jolly, round, red Mr. Sun kicks his blankets off and begins his daily climb up into the blue, blue sky. The big rooster on the topmost perch stretched his long neck, flapped his wings, and crowed at the top of his voice. Reddy shivered. It won't be long now before Farmer Brown's boy comes, thought he. And that's the end of that chapter. We'll read the next one later today or tomorrow, I hope. Bye-bye, everybody.